Now, the United States has said that it will not change its Afghanistan withdrawal timeline even as violence in the war-torn country rises. The announcement by the White House came 2 days before Afghan President Ashraf Ghani and High Commission of National Reconciliation Chair Abdullah Abdullah will hold talks with U.S. President Joe Biden. The White House said that the U.S. troops will withdraw by September 11th.
First, I would say that our Department of Defense is overseeing an orderly withdrawal of our troops from Afghanistan and doing that at a pace that, in their view, will ensure their safety and ensure we are doing it in a way that's effective and in a coordinated manner with the government. I will say that while in general we are seeing elevated attacks on DSF and Afghan government versus a year ago, we have not seen an increase in attacks on our military presence since February 2020.
Meanwhile, hundreds of former Mujahideen held a rally in support of Afghan forces in Kabul. The Mujahideen vowed to fight against Taliban, saying that they will protect their freedom at any cost.
ما مجاهدین هستیم در وقت مقابلش استاد شدیم حالا در مقابلش استاد هستیم و نمیمونیمش که یک بلس پیش بیاد وطن ما و خاک ما حتما نابودش میکنیم.
And similar armed mobilization was seen in the Herat province. These groups have vowed to recapture the areas held by Taliban. Fierce fighting has erupted between Taliban and the Afghan forces in at least 3 provinces, and Taliban has even captured a town on the Tajikistan border, forcing security forces and custom workers to flee. In a statement, Taliban asked Afghan troops to join its ranks, and it said, and I'm quoting at this point, "We again invite troopers, police, militias and workers standing in enemy ranks to embrace the open arms of the Islamic Emirate. We assure all neighboring countries of Afghanistan that no problem shall arise with the arrival of Mujahideen in border regions." Now, there has been a rise in Taliban attacks as US and NATO forces prepare to exit Afghanistan as part of a peace deal between Washington and the Taliban. Negotiations between Afghan government and the Taliban in Doha are yet to see a breakthrough. And journalist Ali M. Latifi is now joining us live from Kabul for more on this story. Thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us about the situation on ground right now?
The situation, I mean, as you said, the situation on the ground is really bad right now. There's fighting, all over the districts, all over the province. I mean, this has been going on for the last several years, especially the last year, but it's really a heightened version of it. There is a fear, that the Taliban could arrive at the gates of Kabul and, take over as they did in 1996. And so, that's something that's really palpable, that really exists at the moment. Whether or not it actually comes to pass is something else entirely. But that fear, that sense of it could happen, is definitely very prevalent.
All right. And also the United States had earlier said that they might consider slowing down the pace of withdrawal, but the September 11th deadline is very much in place. How do you assess this?
I mean, it's in line with what Joe Biden has been saying. It's in line with what every Democratic candidate during the last presidential election was saying. It's in line with what Donald Trump wanted to do. I think this notion that the U.S. could somehow be convinced to stay, by bringing up, for the last year or so, the government was trying desperately, coming up with this whole claim of Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, but there's no proof of any real meaningful level of presence for supposed Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, or that they could actually even be a threat to anybody at this, other than, unfortunately, the people of Afghanistan if they decided to start attacking and doing something. So this whole notion of, maybe Joe Biden will change his mind, what Jen Psaki said, it's very much in line with what the United States has always been saying. Look, she said, we know that the Afghan people are suffering. We know that they're being attacked, but our forces aren't being attacked. And that's really all they care about, because that's, Joe Biden wants this win. Okay. He wants to say that I did what no one else could.
All right. So what do you think is the way forward? The Mujahideen have now vowed to fight against the Taliban, saying that they will protect their freedom at any cost. How do you see this impacting the current situation?
You know, it's really difficult because it seems like, 20 years went by and this money and these efforts were poured in, and now we're back to essentially 1992, and it's a risky proposition because on the one hand, yes, people are rising up, and they have been over the years in different parts of the country against the Taliban and other groups, and it's happening much more visibly now and on a much larger scale now, or at least it's being promoted much more now. But then there's also the risk of militias forming, of another civil war, of whenever you put so many guns in so many people's hands, it's always a 50-50 chance. They may deliver you from your enemy, as the Mujahideen did during the Soviet occupation.
Right.
But then they willing to sort of put down their guns after that, or are we back to 1992 where there'll be another civil war? And I think that's the fear is yes, people are standing up and they're taking up arms, but can you control that later when you need to?
All right. Mr. Latifi, thank you so much for joining us with all the updates on that.
Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.